Jocko Willink is a retired U.S. Navy SEAL who led the most highly decorated Special Operations unit in the Iraq War. He went from being a Navy SEAL commander to becoming a New York Times best-selling author, top-rated podcast host, and designer of a line of men's denim jeans. And today we're going to learn his best advice on how you can be open-minded. Rise and shine, it's Entspresso time!
I wake up every morning.
Espresso keep me going.
I wake up every morning.
Hey, it's Carmichael, and every morning I bring you a shot of Entspresso to help you start your day with confidence and believe in yourself. So good morning, I believe in you, and let's do this. Over to you, Jocko Willink.
I mean, obviously you were a commander on a unit. You were not a battalion commander, you were a commander still. You had people that are reporting to you constantly. How can you differentiate between somebody that could be a leader of your unit versus somebody that needs a lot of hand-holding? Were there trends that you saw? Were there certain things that you were looking at?
Again, this is one of those things where, I mean, you can look at a person, you can do an assessment, and I do pretty good with my assessment. You've been in business for a long time. You were in the Army. You do pretty good with your assessment, but you're only batting 60. How many times have you hired somebody you thought was going to knock it out of the park and 2 months later you end up firing them?
Long list.
It's a long list, right? How many times you know what, I'll give a guy a shot and then they end up being a great person. You get right some of the times, probably 60, 70% of the time, maybe even more, but you definitely can't guarantee anything. And that's why I look at everyone with an open mind. I look at people with an open mind. So not only I want you to be humble if you want to learn, but I'm looking at you with an open mind. I'm not looking at you, putting you in a box and thinking, oh, he doesn't really have this capability. I'm looking at you like, okay, let's hope he has the capability. And if he does, we're going to build on it. We're going to turn him into a solid leader.
Look for people who step up. It's not about their resume. It's not about where they used to work. It's not about how good their references are. It's about, are they willing to do the work when other people aren't? And it's up to you to give them the opportunity to step up and shine. And so I think about one of the businesses that I run, Toronto Dance Salsa, largest salsa dance school, maybe in North America. And when I first took it over, the original owner had to leave the business because her back was hurting and she couldn't dance anymore. It was causing her severe physical harm. And there was one guy named Alex, who now helps run the business, who was her assistant, who was training with her. And I knew Alex, and I didn't think Alex, would do a good job as an instructor. I was actually against him even training to be an instructor because he wasn't committed, he wasn't following through, he wasn't taking feedback, most importantly. And here he was training with her, and when she came down with the injury, I was the only person who could actually go and teach that class as at least a short-term gap. And so Alex became super deflated because a guy can't dance with another guy. I mean, I guess you could, but in our model, it's usually a man and woman at the front. So if I'm coming in to teach the class, then I would have a female assistant. And so Alex was really bummed, one, because the original owner is injured, and now two, the thing he worked so hard for was being taken away from him. So he comes to pick me up from my place. We're driving over to Toronto Dance Salsa, and I say, hey, we got two choices here. One, I'll teach and you can watch. I'll still train you because she was training you, and I'll honor that commitment, and you need to show up for your training and make sure you're doing your part. So I could teach the class and you could sit on the sidelines and I'll train you. Or two, you take over the class. Now it's your class, and we'll give you a female assistant and I'll train you from the sidelines. Which one do you want? And he didn't know the material. There's so many reasons why it wouldn't work out. He's got 3 hours of teaching he had to do that night that he wasn't prepared to do the entire class for. And he was already going in expecting that he was going to be benched. And he said, I'll do it. And it's in these moments that this is when I recognize great people for my team. It's like when you're not ready, but you're given an opportunity, do you step up? He wouldn't have been given that opportunity by most people. He wasn't ready. He made tons of mistakes. He had to teach the man and the women's part, and he barely knew the women's part. And I'm not so concerned about did he get it perfect. What I'm concerned about is, did he try? Is he saying yes? And I love throwing people into opportunities and seeing if they have that in them to say, I'll do it. I'll do my best. I'll try. Those are the people you want to surround yourself with. Now, fast forward to where we are now, it's something I have to remind Alex of when he's training new people. He's bringing new people on, and now he's built himself up to having such a high standard for what a class looks like that he doesn't let people move on until they've hit almost mastery. So actually, you need to lower the bar. You need to give people opportunities. You need to give them a taste. You need to see what they're made of, see if they're capable. Do you remember how bad you were when you first started? I have to remind him about the process, about how there was one move that he didn't want to teach at all, didn't feel comfortable, was worried that he would fall down on his face while doing it, turning twice. And he said, "Can you teach this, Evan?" Like, "Nope, you're teaching it. If you fall, you fall." And he went up and he taught it, and he didn't fall. And so reminding him now that he needs to treat the people on his team who are under him now that he's built up and give them opportunities and not hold them back because they're not perfect. You want to find the people who are willing to step up, but you can't just blame them. Are you giving people the opportunities? Are you allowing them to shine? Are you giving them some rope to play with and not hanging them if they make a mistake? So yes, it's about finding the people, but it's too also about you owning your role to say, are you giving your team the opportunity to step up and impress not just you, but impress themselves as well? So I've got a 3-step process on how to do this. But before that, if you want to have unstoppable confidence and self-love, check out my 254 series. They're free. The links to join are in the description below.
People want to know how to stop the laziness, and they want to know how to stop the procrastination. And I looked at him and I said, I'm not a brand. I'm a person. Self-discipline comes from the self. It comes from you.
Okay, how do we do it? How do we build a better team? How do we build a better culture? How do we get people to step up? 3 steps, let's go. Step number 1 is fixing your hiring process. Most people have a broken hiring process. Most people hire people based off of the resume, the cover letter, an interview, and references. That's typically the process, right? Most of those things don't test for what they're actually going to be doing. You're putting people through this machine that is totally unrelated to the work they're actually going to be doing. If you're trying to hire a videographer, for example, you're trying to hire an editor, for example, for a YouTube channel, what their resume looks like doesn't matter. What their cover looks like doesn't matter. Like their ability to write a cover letter doesn't matter. You're hiring an editor. I don't care how well you write. If you're Shakespeare in writing, but you suck at editing, it doesn't matter. References are almost always BS. And interviews as well almost always don't work because, again, somebody could be the most introverted, shy person of all time and suck in an interview, but be great as an editor. So most of the time, I think the hiring process is broken and people are not judging people correctly. The best way to do it, I think, is to actually work on projects together. So what we'll do is when I'm doing a job post, it'll actually be one big ugly paragraph, and somewhere in the middle, we'll ask some kind of skill testing question like, tell me how many YouTube subscribers I have, and put that in the first line of your application. 80% of the people who apply for a job don't even catch that question, never find my YouTube channel, and don't put it in the first line of their application. So if you're not going to spend time actually reading my job ad, why am I going to spend time reading your application? This is why it's broken. It takes them 8 seconds to click apply, and they're just using the same cover letter, resume, everything they've done for everybody else. But it takes you time to read every one of them. Part of why we hate the hiring process is because it takes so long that then if you finally get somebody through this broken process, you don't want to lose them, and you keep somebody who's just okay because you don't want to go through that painful process all over again. If they don't respond to the skill testing question right away, you already lose 80% of the people. Now you've got 20% to work with. And what I love doing next is having a trial job. So instead of interviewing or anything else, we're going to work on a project together. I'll give up to 5 hours on a project. Go edit this video. Let's see what you got. And in the process of working with them, it actually maps really well to the work they're going to be doing if they actually got the job. And we see how well do they work together? How quickly are they working? Do they ask smart questions? Are they delivering a quality product? And in that paid trial, it's a paid trial. In that paid trial, we figure out who we end up wanting to work with. And it's often the people who don't look great on paper. A lot of the people on my team don't look that great on paper, but they're great. They're great people. And so fix your hiring process. And in your selection process, you're testing for the things that you actually care about that map well to the job that they're going to have. Because most people's hiring process is dead broken. Step number 2 is give them opportunities. So when you have people, it's like, great, what else are you working on, building, growing, learning? What do they want to get into? One of the advantages of being an entrepreneur is there's so many things, so many ideas we have, so many places we want to grow, so many new things we want to do. Chances are somebody's not going to come into a job and just do the same thing, just stamping this one thing all day long like they would in a manufacturing company. There's opportunities, but it's on you to actually give them opportunities. It's on you to have a conversation with them and believe in them and see that kind of hidden talent inside of them to say, hey, I think you could be great at this. Do you want to give it a shot? Yes, they have to step up and own their role, but a lot of times they don't because you, as the entrepreneur, haven't given them that opportunity. If you're not giving opportunities and you expect your team to say, hey, what else can I do? Where can I step up? I'd love to be of greater service. You can't just put all the responsibility on them. That makes it really difficult. Some people will do that, and that's an insane superstar for your team. But you need to do your role as a leader to see more in the person than they see in themselves and give them that chance to rise up and shine. And then step number 3 is expect imperfection. Don't expect the first thing that they do to be great. It's more, did they step up? Do you see potential? Is there something there that you can work with? When I gave Alex that opportunity to go and teach the class instead of sitting on the sidelines, he made tons of mistakes. He was super nervous. It wasn't great. He made mistakes everywhere. It wasn't to the point where we were letting our students down and it was a disappointment and they were asking for refunds or anything. But compared to how the founder would have taught it, or compared to how I would have taught it, it wasn't hitting the level. But I gave him feedback on the breaks, and I gave him feedback after the class, and I gave him feedback for the next weeks as I kept coming back to the class and mentoring him, and he got better. So I expect imperfections. Expect it not to be perfect. Don't focus on all the reasons why it sucked and try to give some encouragement and say, hey, these things were really great. Let's continue to improve here, and here's how you can get better. Expect imperfection. If they see your face, like, if I'm on the sidelines doing this as Alex is teaching, it's over. He's lost his confidence. He's not going to want to do it anymore. And it's not even just not expressing it, it's not feeling it. I expect it. If he fell on his face for that move that he wanted me to go off and teach, it would be okay. Everything is savable. I expect imperfections. And if you're throwing people into new opportunities, you should too. Now, I've got a really special bonus clip that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, question of the day, I want to know, who is the next person that you need to bring on into your team? Not their name, but their skill set, their role. What are they going to do for your business? Who do you need to bring on and give opportunities to? Let me know. Put it down in the comments below. And if you made it this far in the video, you're still here watching. Believe Nation, we don't just watch videos, right? We do something about it. If that's you, if you're going to promise right here, right now, today, commit to take action after watching this video, give me a hashtag Believe down in the comments below and tell me where you're from as well so I can celebrate you.
There's a brilliant leader by the name of David Marquet who wrote a book called Turn the Ship Around. And he had an experience as a submarine captain on the USS Santa Fe where he realized that as much as he knew about submarining, he'd been a submariner his whole career, that put on this new submarine, he learned the hard way that he actually didn't know how the submarine worked. He made an order that nobody knew how to do it because that didn't exist on that sub. And so he realized he had no choice but to trust his people. And he went through this transformation as a leader of telling everybody what to do to allowing people to tell him what should be done. And I've learned a lot from him, and I highly recommend his book. And I've really learned that, which is, at the top of the organization, as David says, the people have all the authority, the leaders have all the authority, but at the bottom they have all the context, right? And so you can't just push all the context up, you have to push the authority down. And so the responsibility of leadership is to train people, make sure that they have the skill set, help build their confidence that they have the confidence to do what needs to be done. Yeah. They have to have competence and confidence. Right. And that's your job. That's the only job of the leader. It's like a parent. Mm-hmm. Make sure they have competence and confidence. Make sure your kids get schooling and make sure that they believe in themselves. And then leave them, And so I've done the same thing. Instead of sort of showing people how I would do it, I want them to learn how it's done, and feel good about themselves. And then just however they do it is how they do it. Yeah. And the result is remarkable. People feel better about coming to work. They feel like they have something to contribute. They feel more valuable as opposed to just being told this is how I would do it, or I'm going to do it this way, or do it my way. Completely changing my understanding of my job as more like a parent than a manager, has had remarkable impact.
If you want to change your life in 30 days, check this series out right here. And if you want Jocko's advice on how to lead and not manipulate, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.